Good morning, children. May the peace of the Lord be with you. Now, apologies that you're not actually going to see my face this morning, but I've got a few items on the table here and I was wondering, what could I do with them? What have I got here? You might like to have a talk with the person next to you. What different items have I got on my table? What can I do with these items? I don't need them anymore. What can I do with them? Well, today is Global Recycling Day. So what I could do is I could recycle these items. Recycling means I could make them into something new. And there are lots and lots of items that we're able to recycle. But what material do these items have in common? What material are these items made out of? That's right, they're plastic. These are all plastic items. But my question for you is, am I able to recycle all of these plastic items? Now, teachers, you might like to pause the video here to allow the children to sort these items into recyclable and non-recyclable. So we've got bubble wrap, we've got cling film, we've got a medicine packet of crisps, a plastic toy, carrier bag, squash bottle, a comb, toothbrush, orange net bag, sun cream, yogurt pot, a wrapper, a food package, a food pouch and a coffee pod. So which of these items am I able to recycle and which ones am I not? So let's go through these. Coffee pods, you can recycle these. Your food pouch, it's a very soft plastic, you can't recycle them. I'm going to put that on that side. Suntan cream, it's dark plastic, you can recycle this. The orange netting, you can't recycle that one. Yogurt pots, you can recycle that. Your food packaging, you can recycle that. Food wrapper, no, can't recycle that. Cling film, that goes in my recyclable pile. Bubble wrap, can you recycle bubble wrap? No, you can't. That goes on that side. Crisp packet, can you recycle that? No, you can't. Toothbrush, nope, we can't recycle that. Plastic comb, that's non-recyclable. Squash bottle, yes, we can recycle that one. Plastic toys, nope, they can't go in the recycling bin. And lastly, the plastic carrier bag. Can we recycle this one? Yes, we can. So we've got our pile of items that are recyclable, and then we've got our pile that are non-recyclable. So what could we do with these? Well, the plastic toy, rather than putting this in the bin, I could see if a friend wanted this. I could see if I could give it to a charity shop. I could try and reuse this rather than just putting it in the bin. The same with the comb. I could see if somebody else wanted this. But there are some items which have to go in the bin. You can see the picture on the back there. And these items go to a special place which I'm going to show you in a video. So the video I'm going to show you is actually the story about 3 plastic bottles and what happens to them. There's quite big words, but hopefully you'll understand what happens to these bottles.
This is the story of 3 plastic bottles, empty and discarded. Their journeys are about to diverge, with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planet. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. In turn, these monomers were bonded into long polymer chains to make plastic, in the form of millions of pellets. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create the resilient material that makes up the triplets' bodies. Machines filled the bottles with sweet, bubbly liquid, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie, poised at the edge of the unknown. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains, and some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna, and the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there. It gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly, the sky is the limit.
So these items here will go in your general bin, and they will end up in a landfill site, and they will sit there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before being decomposed, before being broken up into smaller pieces. I was doing a bit of maths, which won't come as a surprise to you. I was thinking about my little water bottle. Now, I do reuse this, and I will end up recycling when I'm finished with it. But I was thinking that if the children in the school had one of these little water bottles every day of the week, that would be 7 bottles in a week, which would be 365 bottles in a year. So every year you'd have 365 of these. Now, there are about 216 of you in the school, so if we multiply 365 by 216, in 1 year, the children at Downham could get through 78,840 bottles a year. That's a huge number. But think about it, you'll be at Downham for 7 years. So if we multiply the 78,000 by 7 years, that is a whopping 551,880 bottles that you could get through. That's 500,000 of these plastic bottles during your time at Downham. Now, you're smarter than that, and I know lots of you have your recyclable bottles, your hard bottles that you use every day. They're much better than these. 500,000 plastic bottles you could go through during your time at Downham, and we're just one school. Think about how many plastic bottles the whole of Billericay could get through in a year. Think about the whole of Essex, how many bottles we'd get through, and then think about the UK, and then think about the world as a whole. Hopefully you're starting to get a picture that there could be so many of these going to landfill and sitting there for over 500 years. So, as this is Global Recycling Day, I want you to be mindful of a few things. The world is a wonderful place. It's full of beauty, and that we need to be really careful that we look after it, otherwise we're going to end up destroying it. God made the world for us, and he wants us to look after it. I want you to be mindful about the products that you're buying and think about where they end up going. Think about what items go in the bin and which items you can recycle and that someone can make into another product. They can make a plastic bottle into another plastic bottle. I have a handbag actually that's made out of plastic, so it's amazing what they can actually do with these items to make new products. So just be mindful of what goes in the bin and what you're going to outsort to go into a recycling bin.